dinosaurs and carved their pictures on the walls? Here they are telling us nobody's ever seen one. Well, how did they know to carve their pictures on the walls of the Grand Canyon? There's a painting in Australia of a native running away from a dinosaur. Nobody's ever seen one? He doesn't know that. He thinks that. Down in Peru, they've got the driest desert in the world. They found some stones down there with dinosaurs and people together carved on them. These stones were made over 2,000 years ago. I've got 3 of them in my museum in Pensacola. They're called the Ica stones, the Nazca burial stones from Ica, Peru. Interesting. Now, how did they know to carve dinosaurs on these stones when they were made about the time of Christ? And the word dinosaur wasn't made up till 1841, and dinosaur bones weren't found and put together for museums till the early 1800s, and yet these guys 2,000 years ago knew about them. Not only that, they often showed circles on the sides of the dinosaurs. You know, when you find dinosaur bones, that doesn't tell you what the skin looked like. Did you know fossilized dinosaur skin was found about 10 years ago, and it had circles on the side? They must have seen a live one to know to put those on there. I think we've been told something that's just not true, folks. We've been told dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. I don't believe that for a second. Here's one from my museum. See the circles on the side of the dinosaur? The dinosaur is holding the guy by the head. Here's one where the guy cut the dinosaur's head off with a knife. You know, there are many legends of people seeing dinosaurs just in the last few hundred years. We've been told they lived millions of years ago. I don't think so. I think they always lived with man. And believe it or not, there could be a few still alive today. You know, they found an old Indian burial mound in Peru. Inside the tomb was a pot made with pottery with a dinosaur on it. The mummy was wrapped up in a blanket, and all around the blanket were dinosaurs. They knew about dinosaurs 2,000 years ago, folks. Now, they're telling us nobody's ever seen one, but he doesn't know that. He thinks that. And according to my theory, this guy is wrong. The Roman sword was found with a dinosaur on it. The Romans knew about dinosaurs. During the age of sailing ships, there are many legends of people sighting sea monsters. They called them sea monsters, and you can read lots of books in the library about that. And some people say, well, they're just making up a story. It could be. Some of them probably are just made up. But when you get thousands of stories of sea monsters, maybe there is something to it. Beep. Hands up, down. Okay. Dinosaurs are mentioned all through history. One of the oldest books in the world is called the Book of Job, J-O-B. The Book of Job mentions an animal called behemoth. Now, what is a behemoth? Well, some people think it might be an elephant or hippopotamus. I don't think that's possible. I think behemoth is this one right here, the Brachiosaurus. And let me tell you my reasons why. It says he eats grass like an ox. Well, a lot of animals eat grass, right? That could be an elephant or hippopotamus. They eat grass too. It says his tail is like a cedar tree. Oh, now, hold on a minute. Have you ever seen an elephant's tail? Not like a cedar tree, no. Okay. How about a hippo tail? Not like a cedar tree, no. Anyway, it says his bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He had big bones. I would say the brachiosaur had big bones. It says his strength is in his loins. His force is in the navel of his belly. The strongest part on him is his belly. Some people say, oh, hey, elephants have a big belly. Yep. Hippopotamus have a big belly. Brachiosaurus has a big belly. He has a big belly. So does he. The Book of Job tells us he lies under the shady trees in the covert of the reed and fens. Now, the word fens is an Old English word that means the swamp. So this animal, behemoth, whatever it is, lives in the swamp. Well, the biggest swamp in the world happens to be in the middle of Africa. That swamp is gigantic. There's what it looks like next to the entire United States. That swamp is huge, bigger than the entire state of Mississippi. Same size as Florida, 55,000 square miles. Did you know there have been reports out of that swamp in the last 100 years of dinosaurs still living? In 1910, some scientists were in that swamp and said, hey, they called it a brontosaurus back then, still alive. They found out later they got the wrong name for it. In 1948, Saturday Evening Post, some scientists went in there and said, there are dinosaurs still alive in that swamp. In 1980, some scientists from University of Chicago went there, And the natives kept talking about an animal they're called Mokele Mbembe. And he said, what is a Mokele Mbembe? And they drew a picture of that right there. And the scientists said, fellas, that's a dinosaur. They've been dead for 70 million years. And the natives said, well, we're sorry. We didn't know about that. All we know is we see them out there once in a while when we're fishing. So they'd never been to school to get taught that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. All they knew is, hey, we see them once in a while, okay? Now, they're not very big. They're only about 20 feet long. And they're long neck and long tail. Their body's about the size of a hippo, is what the natives say. But they have a very long neck. And they're vegetarian. They won't eat you, but they will kill you. They don't like anybody coming near their territory. Lots of folks have gone in there and claimed that they saw this creature called Mokele Mbembe. Now, here we are being taught that they lived millions of years ago. A missionary friend of mine was over there for 42 years in the swamp. He said he had 2 pygmies in his church that helped kill one and eat it. There's his phone number there. If you don't believe me, call him up. He's back in Ohio now. Another missionary was there in Kenya. He said, oh yeah, my wife and I saw one with plates on its back, sort of like a stegosaur, but longer and skinnier, with plates on its back. Huh. There's a great big lake in Scotland called Loch Ness. Has anybody ever heard of Loch Ness before? Okay. Did you know 11,000 people swear they have seen the Loch Ness monster, and they call it a plesiosaur? Now, it could be they're all lying. But if 11,000 people claim they've seen something, maybe they have seen something. Why would they all claim they saw a plesiosaur? One family said they saw it with a sheep in its mouth. Reader's Digest here shows a picture of Nessie with its mouth open. Lots of folks claim they've seen this. One guy almost ran into it one night on his motorcycle. He said it was scooting across the road in front of his motorcycle. The guy's a veterinarian student. Scared him half to death. That's a sketch he drew of it right there. One guy got a picture of a diamond-shaped flipper underwater. Nessie apparently has diamond-shaped flippers. Beep. Up. You know, they've been seen all over the world. In 1977, the Japanese fishing boat was dragging their net down by New Zealand, and they snagged something heavy, and when they pulled it up, it was a 32-foot long, 4,000-pound, dead, rotten, stinking carcass of something. It had a long neck and 4 big flippers. They looked at it and said, fellas, I don't know what that is, but that's a strange thing. They also said, it stinks real bad, and we're throwing it back. But they made a special stamp for Japanese mail. They said they had a plesiosaurus in their net. 1977. Now, wait a minute. When I went to school, they told me dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. I don't think so. Something like a dinosaur washed up on the beach in Russia, 1994. It was 39 feet long. Something's been seen in China and in Japan. I mean, I could go on all day about dinosaurs living with people. There's a lake in Canada called Lake Okanagan, where many folks swear they have seen the Ogopogo. That's their nickname for it. Thousands of people will say, oh yeah, I've seen the Ogopogo. There's one called the Cadborosaurus in British Columbia. There's a lake between New York and Vermont called Lake Champlain. Lots of folks claim they've seen the Lake Champlain monster. I talked to the lady that took that picture. I went and met with her, videotaped the interview. I said, Sandy, do you think you saw a dinosaur? She said, no. I know I saw a dinosaur. She and her husband and 2 kids watched it for 10 minutes. When I showed her this one, I said, did it look like that? She said, no. Well, yes, it looked like that, but the neck was shorter. That's what she told me. Now, they're telling us nobody's ever seen one. This thing washed up on the beach in Lake Erie. Nobody, even today, knows what it is. It's in a museum in Texas. A lot of folks claim they've seen the Lake Erie monster, whatever it is. There could be a few pterodactyls still alive. I've interviewed about 9 people now who claim they've seen one. Small, 6-foot wingspan, 4-foot wingspan. I mentioned in my seminar tape about pterodactyls being seen in Kenya, Africa. The natives over there call it Batamzinga. That's their name for it. And I got a phone call one day, and this guy said, Mr. Hovind, I'm visiting here from Kenya. I'm going to school at Louisiana State University, Baton Rouge. He said, I'm on the Kenya Olympic running team, and I'm going to school in America. He said, I saw your tape about pterodactyls still living. He said, I live in Kenya, and I want you to know, you're right, we have those creatures over there. He said, nobody likes them because they come out at night, and they'd love to eat dead, rotten meat, and especially, you know, if somebody dies and you don't bury them very deep, they'll dig up somebody that died and eat them. He said their wingspan's only about 4 feet, you know, 5 feet, but he said they're over there. I mentioned about pterodactyls being seen in Indonesia. I was speaking at a college one time, and this lady raised her hand. She said, Mr. Hovind, I'm from Indonesia. I'm a medical doctor. I came to America to study English. And she said, I grew up and lived in Indonesia all my life. And she said, you are right. We have those creatures in Indonesia. They call it orangbatai. It's their name for it. She said, why do you teach people over here that they lived millions of years ago? I said, I don't know, because we're dumb, I guess. They did not live millions of years ago. Anyway, the Thunderbird legend is the story of a tribe of Indians that saw this bird, giant bird, get hit by lightning. So they called it the Thunderbird. When it fell to the ground, they found it 3 days later. The buzzards had picked all the meat off the bones, but the wingspan was 20 feet and had a bump on the back of its head. Indian prayer sticks show a pterodactyl head. Now, Henry Ford put an eagle on the taillight of a Thunderbird. Should have been a pterodactyl. You blew that one, Henry. Oh, beep, stand up. Oh, no, there we go. Okay. So the one thing about dinosaurs I don't like. Every time you get a book about dinosaurs, it says millions of years ago. So my theory is very simple. The world was created in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago. There was a great big flood that completely wrecked everything 4,400 years ago. Before the flood, everything lived longer and grew much bigger. After the flood, things changed. Dinosaurs were called dragons. Through history, they were called dragons. People killed most of them. There could be a few still alive today. No big deal. I don't think there's very many, and I don't think they're very big, but there probably are some still around today. Now, as a scientist, your job is to look at the theory and say, you know, maybe that's right. The problem is some people are afraid to say anything against what everybody else believes. Because everybody else believes dinosaurs lived millions of years ago, and they go, oh, I don't want to say anything else because then they're going to make fun of me. I don't think it's possible that they lived millions of years ago. So, that's my theory. Your job is to prove I'm wrong. If you're a scientist, you want to be a scientist? Okay, say, Mr. Hovind, I think you're wrong because... I'd like to hear why. I've been studying this for a long time, folks. I think I got the right theory. I think we've been told something that's not true. I was taught all through school. Man used to have a tail, but he lost it because he didn't need it. I thought, didn't need it? Have you ever thought how handy a tail would be? Did you ever come to the door with 2 sacks of groceries? Man, you can grab that door and open it right up and walk right in. Lost it because we didn't need it. Come on. That's a bunch of baloney. Anyway, you teachers, if you'd like to get, I have all kinds of videos on creation, evolution, and dinosaurs. You can get a catalog only for the teachers, please. I've only just got a few left. And I told you I'd show you the scientific way to shoot an airplane, shoot a rubber band, right? Now, you sure you want to learn this? Okay. I want you to notice my fingers do not leave my hand at any time. That's important. Okay. What most people do wrong with rubber band shooting is they stretch both sides the same. See, one side is your flesh, the other one is your spirit. Your spirit has to live in your flesh or else you're dead. Okay? If you pull both sides the same, when it flies through the air, if you could watch it in slow motion, the sides are going... They're fighting with each other all the way. So, the secret to high-speed velocity through a fluid medium, such as the atmosphere, is to minimize the turbulence. All I did was stretch one side tighter than the other. One side's tight. When I let go, it's going to spin through the air. The spirit leads the flesh. All the way to the back of the gem.
Do you want to know more about how to combat the godless theory of evolution? Creation Science Evangelism offers 4 great tools that help strengthen the faith of believers and win the lost to Christ. After 15 years of teaching high school science, Dr. Hovind began Creation Science Evangelism in 1989. We are a ministry that is dedicated to providing tools which will help you combat the evolution philosophy that is destroying the faith of millions every year. The first tool Creation Science offers is their powerful, life-changing video series. Over the last 12 years, well over 1 million videotapes of Dr. Hovind's seminar have circled the globe. They are reaping a harvest of souls for the kingdom of Christ, as well as helping restore the faith of many thousands confused by the evolution propaganda to which they've been subjected. These videos are available in English, Russian, French, Spanish, Japanese, and sign language. The Age of the Earth, first of the 7-part series, teaches that God created the universe about 6,000 years ago in 6 literal days. Could this be true? Can it be scientifically proven that the